First Contact Files. Classified Report, Discovery of Human Activity on K-789. Filed by Senior Scout Zex Trau of the HFY Exploratory Fleet. Date, Galactic Standard Year 3478.6. The discovery began like any other routine survey mission. Our fleet had been tasked with mapping the outer reaches of the Forbidden Zone, that vast stretch of space declared off-limits by the ancient protocols. As Senior Scout, I'd seen my share of dead worlds and lifeless rocks. But K-789 was different. From the moment we entered orbit, our sensors detected anomalies that shouldn't have existed. The planet itself was unremarkable, a Class M world with standard gravity and a nitrogen-oxygen atmosphere. What caught our attention were the tracks. Perfect, methodical patterns carved into the planet's surface, visible even from our orbital position. At first, we assumed they were natural formations, perhaps the result of seasonal weather patterns or tectonic activity. We were wrong. I led the first ground team personally. The moment our transport touched down, every member of my crew felt it, that distinct sensation of walking on ground that had been deliberately altered. The tracks weren't random, they formed precise geometric patterns, extending for kilometers in every direction. But it was what we found at the pattern's center that changed everything. A structure stood there, defying all logic and the ancient protocols themselves. It wasn't built in the flowing, organic style of the HFY, nor did it bear the crystalline signatures of the Kian architecture. This was something entirely different, angular, efficient, and undeniably artificial. But what truly sent shockwaves through our expedition was the symbol emblazoned on its side, a simple design of white and blue, featuring a stylized planet Earth and the letters, UN. Humans. Somehow, impossibly, humans had been here. The implications were staggering. The Forbidden Zone had been established long before humanity achieved faster-than-light travel. The ancient protocols, signed by every spacefaring race in the known galaxy, explicitly prohibited any exploration or colonization of these sectors. Yet here was irrefutable evidence that humans, the galaxy's newest sapient species, had not only entered the zone but had established some kind of presence here. As I recorded my initial findings, I couldn't shake the feeling that we'd stumbled onto something far bigger than a simple treaty violation. The structure's purpose wasn't immediately clear, but its construction suggested it was some kind of research facility. What were they studying? And more importantly, how had they managed to bypass the automated defense systems that had guarded this sector for millennia? Our initial scans revealed that the facility had been abandoned for at least several standard years. The power systems were dormant, but remarkably intact. Whatever the humans had been doing here, they'd left in a hurry, but they'd been careful to preserve their equipment. I made the decision to establish a base camp and begin a thorough investigation. As I transmitted my preliminary report to Fleet Command, I knew this discovery would send ripples through the galactic community. The humans had already surprised us with their rapid technological advancement and their unusual biological capabilities. Now they had done the impossible, they had breached the Forbidden Zone and lived to tell about it. But the real mystery was just beginning to unfold. As my team began to decode the facility's data systems, we uncovered references to something called Project Prometheus. The humans hadn't just been studying this world, they'd been searching for something. Something that, according to their logs, they believed could change everything. That night, as I watched K-789's twin moons rise over the horizon, I couldn't help but wonder, had we discovered evidence of human audacity, or had we stumbled upon the first pieces of a puzzle that had been waiting millennia to be solved? Continued in next section. Field Notes, Day 2 of Investigation. Personal Log, Senior Scout Zex Trau. The more we uncover, the less sense it all makes. Today we managed to partially restore power to the facility's main computer core. The data we've recovered is fragmented, but what we can read is fascinating. The humans who built this place weren't just conducting research, they were following a map. A map that, if their calculations are correct, predates the establishment of the Forbidden Zone itself. Most disturbing are the references to something they called the signal. According to their logs, they detected some kind of transmission emanating from deep within the planet's crust. The signal apparently matched patterns found in ancient artifacts discovered on Earth and several other worlds within human space. My science officer, Venka, has proposed a theory that makes my scales bristle. What if the humans didn't break into the Forbidden Zone at all? What if they were invited? We've also discovered something else, evidence of weapons fire. Not recent, but clear enough to indicate that whatever happened here ended in violence. The patterns suggest at least 3 distinct weapon signatures: human plasma weapons, something that matches Kian energy profiles, and a third type we can't identify. The mystery deepens with every passing hour. I've requested reinforcements from Fleet Command, but given our location, it will be at least 7 standard days before they arrive. Until then, we'll continue our investigation. The humans left something behind here, something important enough to risk interstellar incident over. And I intend to find out what it was. Investigation continues. Emergency transmission. Priority level, Alpha. From Senior Scout Zextral. To Fleet Command. We are no longer alone on K-789. Thermal signatures detected on the far side of the facility suggest recent activity. Multiple tracks, not matching any known species template. Request immediate military support. The humans didn't abandon this facility. They were driven out. And whatever forced them to leave may still be here. End of Part 1, Echoes of the Past. Classified Report, K-789 Investigation Update. Filed by Senior Scout Zextral. Date, Galactic Standard Year 3478.6, Day 4. The situation has evolved far beyond our initial expectations. After detecting the thermal signatures, we implemented emergency protocols and established a defensive perimeter around the facility. What we discovered in the following hours has forced me to question everything we thought we knew about the Forbidden Zone. At dawn, our sensors detected movement at the facility's eastern perimeter. What emerged from the morning mist wasn't the threat we'd anticipated, it was a human. A single, living human, wearing what appeared to be a heavily modified environmental suit bearing the same UN insignia we'd found on the facility. Her name is Dr. Sarah Chen, and she claims to be one of the original researchers stationed here. According to her initial statement, she's been hiding in the facility's underground levels for the past 3 standard months, surviving on emergency rations and recycled water. What follows is a transcript of our first formal interview with Dr. Chen. Interview transcript, subject DR-001. Interviewer, Senior Scout Zextral. Location, K-789 Research Facility, Secure Room 7. Z, Dr. Chen, please explain your presence on this world. C, I'm part of Project Prometheus. We've been here for 2 years, studying what we believe to be the remains of a civilization that predates all known galactic species. Z, that's impossible. The Forbidden Zone has been sealed for millennia. C, laughs, that's what everyone thought. But the signal led us here. It's been leading us to places like this for decades, we just didn't know how to interpret it until now. Z, explain this signal. C, it started with the Mars discovery in 2157. A pattern, encoded in quantum fluctuations, found in an artifact buried beneath the Olympus Mons. We discovered similar patterns on Venus, Europa, and eventually on worlds outside our solar system. They were breadcrumbs, Senior Scout. Someone wanted us to follow them. Z, why humans? Why not contact the established galactic community? C, long pause, because we're different. Our neural architecture, it lets us perceive the signal in ways other species can't. We're not just recipients, we're keys. The signal isn't just a message, it's an activation sequence. Z, activation for what? C, that's what we were trying to find out when they attacked. The implications of Dr. Chen's testimony are staggering. If verified, it suggests that humanity's rapid technological advancement wasn't just a product of their unusual biology or determination, they were being guided. The question is, by whom? Dr. Chen has provided us with access to her personal data logs, which detail the facility's final days before the attack. The events she describes are troubling, to say the least. According to her records, 3 months ago, the research team successfully decoded a significant portion of the signal. Whatever they discovered caused immediate panic among the senior staff. Within hours, they began emergency evacuation procedures. But before they could complete the evacuation, they were attacked by what Dr. Chen describes as shadows that moved like liquid darkness. Most of the staff managed to escape in the facility's ships. Dr. Chen and a small group were cut off from the evacuation point. They retreated to the lower levels, where they discovered something that changed everything, a chamber, deep beneath the facility, containing what appeared to be a quantum computer of impossible complexity. The chamber's walls were covered in writings that matched no known language, yet somehow, the humans could read them. Dr. Chen claims this ability to comprehend the text came naturally, as if the information was being fed directly into their minds, but the most disturbing part of her testimony concerns what happened next. Over the following weeks, her companions began to change. She describes them becoming increasingly erratic, speaking in languages that shouldn't exist, drawing complex mathematical equations that seemed to defy the laws of physics. One by one, they disappeared into the deeper levels of the facility, drawn by something Dr. Chen couldn't perceive. She's been alone for the past month, trying to maintain her sanity while avoiding both the shadow creatures and whatever claimed her colleagues. Our scans have confirmed the existence of the underground chamber she described, though we've been unable to access it due to some kind of energy barrier. More concerning are the readings we're getting from beneath the chamber, massive power fluctuations that seem to pulse in patterns matching the signal described in Dr. Chen's logs that I've ordered my team to begin setting up more sophisticated monitoring equipment. Whatever is down there, it's active, and if Dr. Chen's theories are correct, it's been waiting for humanity to find it for a very, very long time. Analysis continues. Emergency update. Priority level, Omega. From Security Chief Ven Ka. To Senior Scout Zex Trao. Sir, we've detected multiple ships entering the system. Initial scans confirm 3 distinct signatures. Human vessels, UN markings. Kian warships. Unknown design, matching no known configuration. They appear to be on an intercept course. More troubling, Dr. Chen's vital signs have begun showing the same anomalies described in her logs. She's speaking in that unknown language, and the equations she's drawing, sir, they're identical to the patterns we've been detecting from beneath the facility. I believe something is about to happen. Something big. End of Part 2, Convergence. Incident Report, First Contact Scenario. Filed by Senior Scout Zex Trao. Date, Galactic Standard Year 3478.6, Day 5. The situation has escalated beyond our worst projections. Within hours of detecting the approaching vessels, our position became the focal point of what could only be described as an interstellar standoff. The human ships arrived first, 3 vessels of their Aegis class, bearing the markings of their United Nations Space Command. They took up defensive positions around the planet, making no hostile moves but clearly preparing for conflict. The Kian fleet arrived next, 5 warships of varying classes, led by what our databases identified as the Dreadnought Scale of Justice. Their arrival changed the entire dynamic of the situation. Instead of immediately engaging the human vessels as expected, they initiated communication with both our expedition and the human fleet. The transmission we received from Kian Fleet Commander SSS Rax was unprecedented. Transmission transcript. Source, Kian Dreadnought, Scale of Justice. Priority, maximum. To all vessels in orbit of K789. This is Fleet Commander SSS Rax of the Kian Expeditionary Force. We are aware of the human presence on this world and the nature of their research. We are also aware of what lies beneath the surface. We propose an immediate cessation of hostilities and the formation of a joint investigative team. What we face here is bigger than our current conflicts. The Shadow Walkers have already begun to manifest. If we don't act together, everything we know will cease to exist. You have all seen the equations. You know what they mean. The gateway is opening. The third group of ships arrived as this message was being transmitted. They defied all known laws of physics, seemingly materializing from nowhere. Their design was organic yet geometric, following patterns that hurt to look at directly. They matched no known configuration in any database, but they perfectly matched the descriptions in Dr. Chen's logs of the ships that attacked the facility. Dr. Chen's condition has continued to deteriorate, but her lucid moments have provided crucial information. She explained that Project Prometheus wasn't just about following the signal, it was about preparing humanity for what they called the integration. According to ancient texts found in similar facilities across human space, the creators of these installations, beings Dr. Chen's team called the Architects, had seeded multiple galaxies with their technology. They were searching for species with the right neural pattern to interface with their systems. Humanity, with its unique brain structure and capacity for abstract thought, was apparently exactly what they had been waiting for. The signal wasn't just a message, it was a key, designed to gradually alter human consciousness to make it compatible with architect technology. The facility on K-789 wasn't just a research station, it was an activation point, one of many spread across the galaxy. What follows is the most recent interview with Dr. Chen, conducted just hours ago. Interview transcript, subject DR-001, follow-up. Interviewer, Senior Scout Zex Trau. Location, K-789 Research Facility, Medical Bay. Z, Dr. Chen, can you explain what's happening to you? C, speaking with difficulty, the process, it's accelerating. The signal, it's changing us, preparing us. The architects, they knew humanity would come. We're not just finding their technology, we're becoming part of it. Z, and the Shadow Walkers. C, failed experiments. Previous attempts at integration that went wrong. They're drawn to activation points, trying to complete their own transformation. But they're broken. Dangerous. They want to force the gateway open, but it's not ready. If that happens. Z, what happens then? C, begins writing complex equations, reality fractures. The boundaries between dimensions collapse. The architects built the gates to allow controlled travel between universes, but it requires switches to unknown language. Z, Dr. Chen. C, returns to English, eyes glowing faintly, they're coming through. All of them. Every version of humanity that succeeded in other universes. The Shadow Walkers want to force unification, but it has to be gradual. Has to be controlled. That's why the architects created the Forbidden Zone, to protect the gateway until the right species could be found. Z, and that species is humanity. C, smiles, no. Not just humanity. Look at the equations, Zex Trau. Really look at them. The signal isn't changing us. It's changing everything. Everyone. The gateway doesn't just connect universes, it evolves them. Your people, the Kians, humanity, we're all part of the pattern. We just couldn't see it until now. The implications of Dr. Chen's revelations have been supported by increasing anomalies throughout the facility. The patterns we initially discovered on the surface are beginning to glow with an inner light, pulsing in sync with the signal. Our own crew has started reporting unusual dreams and moments of inexplicable understanding of the architect's script. The three fleets remain in orbit, locked in a tense standoff. But something is changing. The Shadow Walker ships have begun arranging themselves in a pattern that matches the formations on the planet's surface. Energy readings from beneath the facility are reaching critical levels. And Dr. Chen. Dr. Chen is no longer entirely human. Her transformation appears to be nearing completion, and what she's becoming may hold the key to everything. Report continues. Urgent update. From Science Officer Venka. To all commands. The gateway is activating. Energy signatures detected in all ships in orbit, human, Qian, and HFY vessels are all resonating with the same frequency. The Shadow Walker ships are attempting to interface with the planetary defense grid. Dr. Chen's last words before entering a quantum resonance state: it's not an invasion. It's an evolution. End of Part 3, Evolution's Edge. Emergency broadcast. From Joint Command Center, Temporary Alliance. Date, Galactic Standard Year 3478.6, Day 5, Critical Phase. The following is a consolidated report of events occurring during the Gateway Crisis, as documented by representatives from all three species present. Hour 0, Initial Convergence. The transformation of Dr. Sarah Chen reached completion at exactly 0300 GST. Her physical form had become a hybrid of matter and energy, emanating patterns of light that matched the planetary formations. Through her, we received the first clear communication from what she called the architect interface. What follows is the transcript of this historic moment. Multilateral recording. Present, Senior Scout Zex Trau, SHATHI, Fleet Commander SSS Rax, Qian, Captain Elena Martinez, Human. Dr. Chen's voice, overlaid with harmonic frequencies. The gateway was never meant to be a door. It's a bridge, a means of combining the best aspects of multiple universal streams. The architects didn't vanish, they evolved. And now, they've found the right combination of species to continue their work. Humanity's adaptability, the SHATHI's stability, the Qian's regenerative capabilities, each race possesses pieces of the pattern. The Shadow Walkers are the result of forced evolution, beings who tried to seize this power without achieving proper resonance. They must be contained before the gateway can safely activate. Hour 3, the Alliance forms. In an unprecedented move, all three species commanders agreed to a temporary alliance. The Shadow Walkers had begun their assault, their ships attacking in patterns that disrupted the planetary defense grid. Our combined fleets formed a defensive perimeter while teams on the surface worked to understand and control the gateway's activation sequence. Hour 5, Scientific Breakthrough. Dr. Chen's transformed state allowed her to interface directly with the architect systems. Through her, we learned that the planetary patterns weren't just decorative, they were part of a massive quantum computer, designed to calculate and execute controlled evolution across multiple species simultaneously. The Shadow Walkers' attacks were precise, targeting key nodes in this planetary network. Each successful hit caused devastating quantum fluctuations that began affecting crew members across all ships. People started experiencing time differently, seeing potential futures, parallel lives, possibilities that hadn't happened yet. Hour 7, the Defense. As the Shadow Walkers pressed their attack, we witnessed something extraordinary. The combined crews of all three species began exhibiting signs of accelerated evolution. SHATHI crew members developed new sensory abilities, able to perceive quantum states directly. Qian warriors found they could regenerate entire limbs in minutes rather than months. Human personnel demonstrated unprecedented cognitive capabilities, solving complex mathematical problems instinctively. Dr. Chen's explanation was remarkable. The gateway's activation is protecting us, preparing us. The Shadow Walkers want to force instant transformation, a process that would destroy most life forms. The architects designed a gradual approach, allowing species to adapt naturally. What you're experiencing now is just the first stage. Hour 10, Critical Decision. With the Shadow Walkers' attacks intensifying, the combined fleet faced a crucial decision. Dr. Chen, now fully integrated with the architect's systems, presented our options. Shut down the gateway completely, ending the evolution process but potentially trapping the shadow walkers in our universe. Accelerate the controlled evolution process, risking widespread chaos but potentially giving us the power to defeat the shadow walkers permanently. Attempt a targeted evolution, focusing the gateway's power on specific individuals who could serve as anchors for a more gradual transformation. The discussion that followed demonstrated how far we'd come in just a few hours. Strategic Conference Transcript. Location, K-789 Facility Command Center. Captain Martinez, we've seen what forced evolution does. Look at the shadow walkers. We can't risk that happening to everyone. Fleet Commander SSS Rax, but if we shut down the gateway, we lose everything. All this knowledge, this potential. Senior Scout Zextral, there might be a fourth option. Dr. Chen, you said the planetary patterns form a quantum computer. What if we reprogrammed it? Dr. Chen, through interface, reprogramming would require representatives from all three species to merge consciousness temporarily with the architect systems. The risk of losing individual identity would be extreme. SSS Rax, but if it worked? Dr. Chen, we could potentially create a controlled evolutionary path, one that preserves the best aspects of each species while allowing for natural growth and adaptation. The shadow walkers would be drawn into this new pattern, their chaotic energy harnessed and stabilized. Martinez, how many volunteers would you need? Dr. Chen, 3. One from each species. But whoever goes in, they won't come back the same. They'll become like me, bridges between what was and what could be. The decision was made. 3 volunteers stepped forward. Lieutenant Sarah Harris, human. Scout Leader Ven Ka, HFY. Warrior Scholar Xith, Kian. As they prepared for the interface, the Shadow Walkers launched their final assault. The combined fleet engaged in the largest space battle recorded since the Kian Wars, buying time for our volunteers to complete their mission. What happened next would change the course of galactic history forever. Report continues in final section. Emergency alert. All channels. Gateway power readings have reached critical levels. Quantum fluctuations detected across all decks. The volunteers have begun the interface process. The Shadow Walkers, they're changing course. All ships converging on the facility. Dr. Chen's final transmission, the pattern is complete. Prepare for transcendence. End of Part 4, Transcendence. Final report, the Gateway event. Compiled by, Joint Species Archive. Date, Galactic Standard Year 3478.6, the day of convergence. The final hour. When our 3 volunteers entered the Architect interface chamber, none of us could have predicted the cascade of events that would follow. The Shadow Walkers' final assault had brought them within striking distance of the facility, their ships moving in impossible patterns that our sensors could barely track. But as Lieutenant Harris, Scout Leader Ven Ka, and Warrior Scholar Xith began the interface process, something extraordinary happened. The following is the final recording from the interface chamber. Chamber recording, final sequence. Time, midnight until convergence. The 3 volunteers stand in a triangular formation, surrounded by pulsing lines of energy that match the patterns on the planet's surface. Dr. Chen's energy form hovers above them, acting as a conduit to the architect systems. Dr. Chen, the interface is accepting you. Remember, focus on your species' core attributes. The pattern must be complete. Harris, voice strained, I can see everything. Every possible version of humanity. We've achieved this in so many ways, across so many timelines. Ven Ka, the stability matrix, it's not just about physical form. It's about maintaining consciousness across quantum states. Xith, the regenerative sequence, it's a blueprint for universal adaptation. The Shadow Walkers, they're not our enemies. They're incomplete patterns seeking resolution. Dr. Chen, yes. Now, bring them together. Complete the circle. Energy patterns intensify. The volunteers' physical forms begin to blur. Harris, I understand now. The architects didn't leave. They became the pattern itself. And now, Venka, we become the new pattern. Xith, not just us. Everyone. Simultaneous speech in harmonic resonance. All three, we are the bridge. The transformation. What followed defies conventional description. The volunteers' consciousness merged not only with each other but with the entire architect network. Through them, the gateway achieved true activation, not as a door between universes, but as a means of controlled quantum evolution. The Shadow Walkers, drawn to this new pattern, found what they had been seeking for millennia. Their chaotic energy was absorbed and redistributed through the network, their fragmented consciousness finally achieving the stability they had lost in their failed evolution. The transformation rippled outward from K789, affecting every living being in the system. But unlike the Shadow Walkers' forced evolution, this change was gradual, controlled, and uniquely adapted to each species. Humans developed an enhanced ability to perceive and interact with quantum states, their natural adaptability allowing them to serve as bridges between different forms of existence. The HFY gained the ability to maintain stability across multiple quantum states simultaneously, becoming living anchors in the increasingly fluid nature of reality. The Kian's regenerative capabilities evolved to include temporal healing, allowing them to repair not just physical damage but quantum discontinuities, the new pattern. The volunteers emerged from the interface changed but intact. They had become something new, beings who existed simultaneously across multiple states of evolution while maintaining their original consciousness. Through them, we gained a deeper understanding of the architect's grand design. The Forbidden Zone wasn't meant to keep us out, it was meant to protect the gateway until we were ready to use it properly. The architects had seeded thousands of galaxies with similar facilities, creating a vast network of evolutionary potential. Humanity's discovery of K789 wasn't an accident, it was the final piece clicking into place. Dr. Chen, fully integrated with the architect's systems, provided the final revelation. Transmission, final understanding. Source, Dr. Sarah Chen/Architect Interface. The universe isn't static. It evolves, just as we do. The architects discovered that conscious beings could guide this evolution, but no single species could handle the responsibility alone. They needed a combination, multiple species working in harmony, each contributing their unique strengths to the pattern. The Shadow Walkers were beings who discovered this truth but tried to force it into reality too quickly. Their fractured state was a warning of what happens when evolution outpaces understanding. But now, through our combined efforts, we've achieved what they couldn't, controlled transcendence. The Gateway Network isn't just a means of travel or communication. It's a tool for guiding the natural evolution of consciousness itself. Through it, we can help other species reach their potential safely, preventing the emergence of more Shadow Walkers while fostering the growth of new patterns. We don't need to fear change anymore. We can guide it, shape it, ensure it happens in a way that preserves what makes each species unique while allowing them to grow into something more. The legacy. In the months following the Gateway event, the changes that began on K789 spread gradually throughout known space. The Forbidden Zone was reclassified as the Evolution Zone, with joint research teams from all three species working together to understand and maintain the network of gateway facilities. The volunteers, along with Dr. Chen, became the first members of a new organization, the Pattern Guardians. Their unique state of existence allows them to monitor and guide the evolutionary process, ensuring that no species faces the fate of the Shadow Walkers. Perhaps most remarkably, the event marked the end of the long-standing conflicts between our species. The shared experience of transcendence, combined with our new understanding of our place in the universe's pattern, made our previous rivalries seem insignificant. The human tracks discovered on that forbidden world led us not just to scientific revelations or technological advancement, but to a fundamental transformation in how we understand existence itself. We are no longer merely inhabitants of the universe, we are active participants in its evolution. Final note. As I conclude this report, I'm struck by something Lieutenant Harris said just before entering the interface: maybe the greatest discovery isn't finding what's out there in the universe. Maybe it's finding out what we can become together. Looking at what we've achieved, the bridges we've built between species, the understanding we've gained, the potential we've unlocked, I believe she was right. The tracks that started this journey weren't just human footprints on a forbidden world. They were the first steps on a path we would all walk together, leading us toward a future none of us could have imagined alone. End of official report. Addendum. Personal log, Senior Scout Zek Strau. The gateway pulses with new energy now, its patterns matching the rhythms of 3 species working as one. The Shadow Walkers have found peace within the pattern, their chaotic energy transformed into a force for stability and growth. And somewhere out there, across countless galaxies, other beings are discovering their own tracks in their own forbidden zones, beginning journeys that will eventually lead them to join our ever-expanding pattern. The universe is changing. And for the first time in our history, we're changing with it, not alone, but together. End of Part 5. Story complete.